Hello everybody, welcome back to Watch Time once again. So today I'm going to be talking about this Tag Heuer vintage watch here. It's a watch I've just purchased and it kind of gave me an interesting idea for a video, just because a lot of people actually really do like the Tag Heuer brand and they're very popular here in the UK. And so this was just a video to give you some ideas for some other options rather than buying a brand new piece. So this is a watch I bought from a jeweler in the UK. The jeweler's called Market Cross, and they're kind of fairly popular in the north of England, and they sell used and new watches. Everything from Patek Philippe to pieces like this, and even down to Seconda. So there's a lot of options. Obviously I don't work for them and I'm not affiliated with them, but just so you know where I got this, you might be able to find something like this. So obviously this is a quartz piece here, as you can see by the second hand. It has those lovely Mercedes, well, a Mercedes hand, our hand there. It has a date, it has a black bezel, it has a strap which really looks like a Rolex President strap. Really nice. Obviously because of its age it has a little bit of give in it, more than a little bit of give actually, but it's really comfortable and it works perfectly well. I'm quite happy with it. As it has a high amount of water resistance, it is certified diver, so it has a safety clasp here, and the clasp itself is just kind of a standard a standard vintage clasp, similar to the Rolex style clasp. On the back of the case it gives you some of the Tag Heuer details, Swiss made of course, 200 meters water resistant stainless steel. The dial of course has the green, red and white Tag Heuer logo, and the hands themselves are, I wouldn't say they're worn, but they're probably not their original colour anymore, and neither are the hour markers as well. They've kind of gone off-white, but I really like that personally. A lot of watch collectors like a watch with a bit of age in it. It's quite a small piece. I'm not exactly sure on the measurements, but that's obviously a very subjective thing anyway. It doesn't really matter for this video what measurement it is. It's more, what you could get for the vintage money basically. It's a screw down crown, as you can see here. It may have been refurbished to some extent, but not over refurbished. As you can see here, the bezel still has some scratches in it. I believe there's a pearl missing out of this as well. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so, or a pearl like thing. But apart from that, I don't think really there's, for a vintage watch, which is, this one's actually 27 years old, for a watch which may have potentially had 27 years of wear, I think actually it's in a really kind of fair condition. And I didn't pay very much for it. So this, I think I paid about $250 for this. So for a Tag Heuer Swiss made watch, vintage, in a style that you really can't get anymore like this, you can't really specifically get this style. What I really like, of course, is the Mercedes hands, the smaller sized case. It just looks like an old Tag Heuer, and I'm one of those collectors who personally prefers the design cues of about between sort of 20 and 30 years ago with Tag Heuer, because really I could have stormed in and bought one for £1,000 now, potentially, let's say for the sake of argument I did, but I actually really honestly prefer the design cues of this one. I think I really prefer the old Tag Heuer design specification, and I know there's quite a few other people who do out there, which is why there is kind of a big subculture of Formula 1 collectors, even though ones which were plastic, which I like those too, and I'm always on the look for one, actually always on the hunt for one, I should say. So yeah, I think I paid a fair price for this. I think the crystal is sapphire, but it doesn't actually say whether it is or not, as far as I can tell. But I believe it will be. It has obviously some very, very light marks on this, like light scratches on the crystal, but for its age, really, would be even a watch that's 1 year old really could potentially have that. In terms of packaging, it came with its papers, which allowed me to see when it was originally purchased. It's only just younger than me, which was quite cool because I'm kind of into the birth year watch thing. So I'd say, kind of to summarize, I think if you get it from a jeweler and it's been looked at and it's in fair condition, obviously working, all of its parts are there, and you get it for a good price, I think really you can't go wrong, actually. The only thing that you should be aware of is that you've got to really want this style of watch, because resale wise, if I were to try and resell this, I would not get my $250 back. So it's got to be a watch that you really want to own. It's not an investment watch, in my opinion, although that may change because you know what the market's like. As it stands at the moment, still a collectible classic watch, but not in the same territory as the old Rolex models, such as the Daytona, which will sell for many, many, many times the retail price. This watch in 1994 was £400, I think. So, I would say it's done pretty well in that respect, but it's not a watch that's going to be worth £60,000 in 5 years, type of thing. So it's got to be a watch that you want. So that's my opinion. Basically, you can't really go too wrong as long as you get it from a reputable dealer. Even without box and papers, I'll get it from a reputable dealer. Luckily, they did have the papers here. This is a third-party box, but the papers were, part of the deal. Part of my confidence in the product, sort of thing. So yeah, that's it. That's it, really. This is just a general overview of what you can get in terms of a vintage Tag Heuer watch. If you go to the right place, potentially pay a little bit more just to make sure you've got some, some provenance there, and some, professional has looked at it and certified it as being a legitimate piece, and all of the parts are there. So let me know what you think below, or if you've done a similar thing, or if you wouldn't do this, let me know. This is a watch I really like, and hopefully some of you can use this as an example of what you can get out there for the money, rather than paying the full retail cost for Tag Heuer in 2021. Because if you're like me, you actually think they used to look probably a little bit better. So that'll be it for today. Let me know what you think.